Hey, you want to learn how to have a ball when handling customers' objections after you give a wonderful presentation in F&I? I'm going to share with you a concept that I came up with. It's not an idea that I came up with. I was at a seminar and they showed it to me, and then I just put it into the F&I realm. It's nothing more than utilizing mini soccer ball, call it the thumb ball, and placing all the objections on the thumb ball and just simply toss it in the air, and whatever your thumb lands on, you just practice that objection. So rather than practice with your peers, you just throw the ball around. We have a 4-step objection process. The first step is acknowledge the customer has an objection by simply looking at the customer and saying, yeah, I get it, I understand, I appreciate that, that's a good point. And then you go into like a transition statement where you kind of like side with them and ask them to move forward. I get it, you don't want to spend the extra money, but what I found is the reason customers really don't want to spend the extra money is because they don't see enough value to spend the extra money. Isn't that really how you feel? And then when the customer says, well, yeah, I kind of feel that way, then you go into the third step of our objection process, and that's create and satisfy a need by simply asking them a question. One of the keys to handling customers' objection, I'm going to put the ball down for a minute. One of the keys to handling customers' objection is that early introduction or the interview where you gather information about your customers' driving habits. From their insurance deductible, determine whether they're a risk taker or not risk taker. I mean, let's face it. If you ask someone what their insurance deductible is and they say it's $200, they don't like to take risks. But if they say it's $1,000, they're more likely to take a risk. That's what I mean by that. You may want to tie the oil changes, which most manufacturers give, into the miles that a customer drives per year and how long they plan on keeping the vehicle. For example, how often do you like to change your oil? Because the manufacturers set up your first 2 oil changes and they're recommending every 7,000 miles. So I'd like to set up your first oil change. How many miles a year do you drive? And the customer will tell you, and then how long do you plan on keeping your car? So maybe we can set up the first 2 or 3 oil changes. So you make it very conversational, and what you're doing is you're gathering information from your customer as to their driving habit. And you're going to be able to handle customers' resistance or apprehensions to the products much better when you do that. So hence the ball, okay? So we put this ball together. It's a number 1 size mini soccer ball. And what we did is we just got some labels and put them on our printer, the shape of the diagonals on the ball, and just put all the objections that we would get in F&I and just tape them on and put them on the ball. And what we do is we go into dealerships, we toss the ball at F&I managers. You can do this for sales consultants as well, but we're going to talk about F&I today. You simply just throw the ball, and then whatever your thumb lands on, for example, my thumb just landed on, I was told not to buy any of that. So how would you handle that? So I would handle it this way. So I get it, you were told not to buy that. Who told you not to buy that? And the customer says, well, Dave Ramsey told me not to buy that. And you look right at the customer and say, Dave Ramsey can afford not to buy that. Hell, he has 2 Maseratis, lives on the ocean. You may want to reconsider your decision not listening to Dave Ramsey, because after all, he can afford it. Maybe you can't if you would have a $3,000 or $4,000 repair, or even tire change at $1,500 and a wheel change. What you're able to do with the ball is you're able to practice, drill, and rehearse. We often talk about practice, drill, and rehearse. You can't practice, drill, and rehearse with your customer, although you can have the customer toss the ball. So you give a wonderful presentation, pays for this, pays for that. At the end of your presentation, you look at the customer and go, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you have any questions about what I just shared with you? And the customer says, no, I don't have any questions, Gerry. All right, so which option works best for you? But wait a minute, all right? Don't say anything. Whatever your thumb's on, that will be objection, and I'll be able to handle it. You're not going to do that with your customers, but you'll be able to do it in your office. Just toss the ball up in the air. Whatever it lands on, I can't afford it. Okay, I get it. These options aren't for everybody, but when you say you can't afford it, is it that you want it, you just don't see enough value to spend the extra money, or you simply feel that you don't have the money to spend? And the customer says, well, I really don't feel I have the money to spend. I really only want to stay within a $400 payment, and this would bring the payment up to $470. That's just a little bit much for me to handle. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, there may be another way of looking at it. And then you can practice the calculator close. Always have a calculator handy. You know how that works. I've shared with you many times where you look at the customer and go, what's your current monthly payment again? It's $402. 402 divided by 30, that's the average days in a month, equals $13.40. So I don't know if you realize it or not, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, but you're spending $13.40 a day. Now, you can afford that, right? You're comfortable with that, yeah? Yeah, of course I am. So that money's in the bank. That's your budget. You have enough money in the bank to pay all your bills, your mortgage, your rent, your car payment, put food on the table, right? And part of that daily spending is that $13.40. Now, you did say that you are somewhat interested in the programs, but you just simply don't feel you have enough money to spend, or you don't want to, it's not a question of not wanting to spend any money. You just feel you don't have enough money to spend. So with that said, it's going to be $70 more for all those products that you're somewhat interested in. Let's take that 70 divided by 30, and that equals $2.33. So the question you really have to ask yourself is, you're already spending $13.40. Is $2.33 really going to change your lifestyle in a way, shape, or manner? Because after all, you have the money in the bank, but you still go out and spend money. On average, how much money you spend a day? The customer says between $5 and $10. I say, well, I agree with you. I spend between $5 and $10 a day. So I don't think $2.33 would affect me, but certainly having to pay $500 or $200 or $1,500 or something to go wrong with the car during the course of ownership, that would affect your lifestyle, wouldn't it? The customer goes, yeah. So see, it's not a question of not being able to afford it because you just proved to yourself that you really can. Doesn't make sense to enroll in the program, and that's how you practice, drill, and rehearse. You can do different scenarios too. Just simply toss the ball, whatever it lands on. I never had a problem in the past. Okay, great, I understand. Having never had a problem in the past, I would certainly think twice about enrolling in these programs as well. But the vehicle you're trading in is 6 years old, and wouldn't you say it's a lot different than the vehicle you're purchasing now, especially with all the technology? Because, well, yeah, there is a lot more technology in this vehicle. And then you go to a cell phone close where you hold up a stapler. Where's my stapler? Right here. And you hold up your cell phone and you say to the customer, okay, this was your car 6 years ago. It's just a combustion engine, similar to the stapler. It's been mastered through the years. All you do is put staples in it like you just put gas in it and change the oil. This cell phone is basically what runs your car. And what's most likely to break down first, the stapler or the cell phone? Most customers are going to look at it and say probably the cell phone. And you look right at them and say that's one of the reasons why you should reconsider the decision not to enroll or subscribe or purchase these options. Again, just toss the ball around. It's a great concept and it's very inexpensive. I went to the Five and Dime store, well, not the Five and Dime store, that's an old wall, whatever it was. I'm a little bit sharing you my age, but it's the dollar store. And the ball was only $5. And the sheets of paper that I printed were probably another $12. So for $17 and a little bit of effort, I put together this thumb ball. And I use it in training and coaching my team. You should build this ball and use it to train yourself. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to just use it in F&I. You can use it in sales as well. So remember, all you got to do is toss up the ball. I never buy any of that. Okay, you probably never had a reason to buy any of that because you were dealing with just a combustion engine. Now with all this technology, doesn't that give you enough reason to reconsider your decision not to enroll in these programs? You practice, drill, and rehearse, and your conversations, you're addressing customers' concerns, you're overcoming objections are going to be that much more fluid. I hope this was really good advice for you. And listen, if you want more advice on how to handle customers' resistance, how to do presentations, and how to be a great F&I manager, come visit us at productprep.com. You won't be surprised. Until next time, go get them.